I dreamed of having a tidy home for many, many, many years. And just recently I realized that that dream has bloomed into an amazing reality. And it's not clean all the time, it's not tidy all the time, but it's getting a lot better and a lot more often. And so I realized it's time for me to let go of some of my crutches. So if you are ready to let go of some of your crutches as well, grab your stuff and come on, let's do it together. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Melinda, plain and simple. Before I get started with the decluttering, I'm going to go through this mug. This is where I keep my bookmarks. And I'm going to see if I'm ready to declutter any of these. Because I have been using the one that I made for myself. And I think that's almost all I need. I'm going to keep the Mickey. And I'm going to keep this one that Randy made for me. I'm going to go ahead and let this kitty cat one go. I'm going to let this kitty cat one go. It's kitty cat with books. And I'm going to let this one go. And this one. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let that go. And I'm going to go ahead and let that go. Yeah, so I'm going to clear out a few of my bookmarks. I will tell you, in case you didn't already notice, this video is rather long. So if you want to split it up, be my guest. I'm also going to tell you I do talk for about, I don't know, 12 minutes after this. And then I get started with the decluttering. And then I talk during that. But I am talking about decluttering. So, you know, split it up if you want to. That's fine. Okay, guys, you know that we have been doing this decluttering thing for a while now. We've been on this journey. We've accomplished a lot. We have learned a lot. There are some more things that I kind of want to do. Some things will require me to kind of go backward in order to do them. Not go backward with clutter, but to go backward and maybe get some of the people who got left behind. So I do want to do that along my journey with decluttering, with as far as doing videos goes. But as far as my own personal decluttering journey, I do still have more to accomplish, but I don't have the boxes of clutter. Well, I have the garage full of clutter, but all of it is not mine, you know. So we have to kind of pick and choose along the way. But part of what I wanted to accomplish when I started doing my channel was to help other people who were like me. People who just didn't know how to declutter, who just didn't know how to let go of things. And I feel like I have reached some of those people, but I feel like there's more for me to do with that. I feel like there are some people that are still out there saying, but I don't know how. And I don't get those comments on my videos. I don't get that in my video audience, but I have had that in people in my real life. Not necessarily somebody that's in my real life all the time, but just acquaintances or like family that you don't see very often, and they're like, oh, what do you do or whatever. And if I mention my channel, you know, what do you do on your channel? Well, I declutter. And they'll be, oh, I need to do that, but I don't even know how to start. And I hear a lot of times on other channels, I call them the gurus, and other people too, even in people in comments, I will see, and people always say, just start somewhere. But I know that there are people who are like me, and you might as well be an adult in a Charlie Brown comic, you know, because it's like, what? We don't know what that means. It's not that we don't understand what we'll just start somewhere means. It's that we don't know how to do it. And you can't start anywhere if you don't know how to declutter, if you don't know how to let go, if you don't know how to jump that first hurdle. You can't even get off the starting block, you know? And so I feel like ever since I've started my channel, that's the person I've wanted to reach. It may be one person. It literally may be one person. But I feel like there's somebody out there that I have not spoken to yet, and I still want to speak to that person. So I may go going forward at some point. I mean, it's been on my heart to do ever since I started this channel, but my channel quickly developed into people doing it along with me. The first time someone commented to me, I wish I lived closer because we could body double. And I'd never heard that term before. And I was like, whoa, because you hear about like weird stuff on the internet, and I'm like, oh, what is that? And so I had to go look it up. I looked it up on the internet. I Googled on the internet, and I was like, whew, that doesn't mean anything. Body doubling is just when you do it alongside someone. And so I realized finally why people were watching my channel. I questioned many times, why are people even watching my channel? I don't understand. Why are people even watching my channel? When I first started, I didn't know if anybody would watch my channel, and I thought maybe that I would not be accepted, and I didn't know how you did it. And I thought all of the people who did do this, I didn't even know how many there were, but I thought they're all going to kick me off. They're going to say, she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't deserve to be here. Kick her off. Well, I know now, of course, that's just silly. That's not how it works. But I didn't know that then. I didn't know how to work my camera. I didn't know how to do anything. So when I first started, I was trying to learn how to literally do it all, or how to do everything that you have to do. How to do the camera, how to talk. I don't talk to people. I'm not around people. I'm very much a homebody, and I'm very much inside my own little bubble. I can come out of it when I have to. My job required me to be up front and work with customers, but I would have rather been in the back room and nobody ever saw me. And so it was very difficult for me to do that. And I called my channel Melinda Plain and Simple, because I was like, I'm not doing the hair thing. I'm not doing the makeup thing. I'm not doing my nails. Y'all take me as I am. That's it. Because I don't do well with that stuff. It doesn't like me. So, it's like, it's not that I never tried, but it's not something that worked well for me. And so many years ago when I was very young, I was like, yeah, that's not working. I'm not going to do what society tells me to do. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the whole thing is, when I started my channel, I had been decluttering for maybe a year, almost a year, about 11 months. And I had accomplished quite a bit in my own house, but I still had a long ways to go. And I was realizing as I was watching other channels that I had my own way of doing things. I learned from them, but I also could pivot from them. And I felt like maybe I could help other people, and I wanted to give back to other people. And during the pandemic, I couldn't go out and do the things, like other people could go out and do this, or they could do that. And I like, what can I do to help people? And I realized after the pandemic, I still needed purpose. And I was like, why am I struggling so much? Because I've never struggled like this before. But I realized that in my old life before, before, when we lived at a different house, before I'd had a job, before I, did all those other things, I gave back by helping other people. I babysat for my neighbors for free for a few years, so she could go to college, so that she could get a good job for her family. I went to college, but I didn't really, have aspirations to do any particular job with it or anything. I did it because I wanted to, but I wanted to give back, and I realized that at that house there were kids in my neighborhood. There were pets, there were stray animals. There was always something to do and someone to help, and just, to give of yourself. I think we all we need that. We need purpose. And, when I no longer had a job, because I had been able to leave my job. But then it was like, well, what do I do? And it wasn't that I just needed something to do. I needed purpose. I needed to have something. I realized that I needed to have something that I could help others with. But I was past that point of saying, oh, I'll babysit for your kids. I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to take in another animal. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. And so I prayed about it, and God gave me the purpose of helping other people with decluttering. And so that gave me the gumption, I guess, to it made me brave enough to accept the rejection if it came, to accept the failure if it came. But I went into it with also the expectation of learning, of growing and learning. And I feel like at this point, I have been blessed to have been able to help people, and been blessed by the comments of people telling me so. It wasn't about getting validation. It was just that getting those comments let me know that I am fulfilling that purpose. But I feel like for me, I have gotten to the point where I am no longer learning. I am, but, and I don't know that I can say this the right way, but before, when I would open up a box, I didn't know what was in that box either. Because I was a random, like I would just throw everything into a box and then forget about it. And so now, all these years later, opening up the box, I didn't know what was in the box either. And I didn't open them up and look through them first. When I opened that box up, y'all were seeing what was in that box at the same time I was. And I was discovering as I was going through this stuff. I couldn't script out what I was going to say. I don't script out what I'm going to say. This is not what I was going to say. I was just going to do this. But this is something that's been on my mind for a long time. And I have tried several times to sit down and do this. And since it's just coming out my mouth, that's where it's going. I may end up editing it all out. Who knows? But the whole thing is, I have wanted to, for a long time, to go back to that part where I can say to other people, this is how I started. This is what I did. And maybe it will help you too. If you're not even to the point of start somewhere, we got to start further back. And I had to start further back than that. And so that's what I want to do. So I'm not going to do that in today's video. I'm sorry, that was a really long introduction. I can see I'm 11 minutes in here. But it's a really long introduction, basically, just to say that I really am going to be maybe turning the page and starting a new chapter. It will still be about decluttering, but it may be more talking. Not in this video, though. For now, I'm just going to leave it there. I probably didn't finish my thought. I'll go back to edit this, and I'll go like, girl, you just left them hanging. Because that happens sometimes. But I'm going to leave you hanging on that. We'll come back to that in another video because, like I said, now I'm almost 12 minutes in, and we ain't even started on this, and this could take a hot minute, okay? So let's get started. But, if you're interested in that, come on back. If you weren't interested in that, I'm sure you just scooched on up to this part, okay? My apologies. So anyway, if you've got a dream, tell me down in the comments because I would love to hear about it. But now let's get started on these books because this is a really important thing. I have a bunch of books that are about decluttering, organizing, and cleaning. And some of these I've had for a long time. Let's see, this one right here. This one right here. This one is the happiness file. These are the Sidetracked sisters. Some of you may have heard of them. I think this was my second copy of this one because I got this one at Half Price Books. And so it's very possible that I still have the first copy somewhere around the house. And they also have another one that is called Sidetracked Home Executives. And I'm pretty sure that I have that one as well. I don't know where it's at. And I also believe I still have my shoebox file that I created with this thing. But this one was from back in the 90s, I believe it was. And let's see. This particular one, this one's copyright 1985. I don't think I got it in 1985. I mean, I know I didn't get this one, but I don't think I got the original one in 85. I think that I got them in the 90s. I'm not positive though. But anyway, this helped me a lot. This one or the Sidetracked Home Executives, I'm not sure which one, but the Sidetracked Sisters, they helped me a lot in understanding how to, into understanding that your home needs some bit of organization and declutter, and that life doesn't just happen. Sometimes we have to make it happen. You know, we have to actually do certain things. These are things I didn't learn before, and maybe you did, and so maybe you didn't need that step, but I did. And I got married when I was 17, so I was very young. And I hadn't learned a lot of that stuff. I was very into school and that sort of stuff. My mom had a really bad car accident when I was 12. My sister got married when she was 16. I was 12. And so, you know, I was suddenly like thrown into this chaotic, I know nothing world, you know. And so, anyway, I remember I used to call my sister and I would say, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? Because she was the oldest and she was the one who did all this stuff. And it's like she did it all. She didn't want anybody in her way. So I never learned. And I mean, I learned a little, but I didn't learn all the stuff like how to be a homemaker, right? And so over time, you know, I figured out how to make it work for Randy and I, but that's about it. I was never really good at it. And so my sister was the one who, she had gotten a copy of the book, and then she told me about it, and I got a copy of the book, and it helped me a lot. And both of us, we both still have our shoebox thing. I don't know where mine is. I'm pretty sure I still have it, but I think I'm ready to let it go, because I am ready to let the book go. I have not let the book go because I always had the dream to get my house under control. And I have tried many times. So even though I had this book and the other one, and that helped me to understand some things, I still didn't know how to let go of things. My mom she was born in the Depression. I call it Depression era syndrome. It's when you just keep everything and you repurpose everything and you attach to things. And so that's how I was raised. And so that's, you know, that part, I had to let go of that part. I had to recognize that part, and I had to let go of that part, and I had to find how I think. Not how I was taught to think, but how I actually think. And how I think is very different. I discovered very quickly, once I really got started, I discovered very quickly. But I didn't figure it out back when I got this book. So, I learned a lot, but I still hadn't absorbed it, right? So, I have this book. I'm a book learner. Okay, and so whenever if I have something, even though I know it's all out there on the internet, I know all that stuff, I tend to need it. I need the book. I need to touch it. I need to, you know, absorb it that way. And so that's why this. And so that's, you know, I have plenty of books here. This one is feng shui, step by step. So I thought, oh, that'll be, you know, maybe I can figure out how to organize my house and how to decorate and do all that stuff, and I don't do this. Okay, so this book is also going to go. I have, let's see, there's this one, How Clean Is Your House? And this one is from there's some, I think they were like British ladies, there was some TV show or something, and I thought this one would be good because it would teach me how to clean places that I don't think to clean or don't know how to clean or whatever, and maybe build some habits and stuff like that. And I have had this book for several years. I flipped through it when I bought it, and never got back around to using it. So I'm going to go ahead and let go. And I'll tell you another reason why that I'm ready to let it go, even though I could probably use it now, because I've gotten my decluttering to the point now where I can start doing the cleaning. But I've realized I also want my cleaning to be simplified. And in some ways, this maybe will be a little bit helpful, but I don't need it anymore. I don't need them to tell me how to do it anymore. I can figure it out. I have more confidence. I have more skills. And I also realize I have shifted into not getting a book out, but rather Googling. So that is also allowing me now to let go of some of these books, because I really thought I was going to keep this one. I remember this one was in here, and I thought I was going to keep it, but I'm not. I'm letting it go. Let's see what else we have. And a lot of these books I have either read them completely or looked at bits and pieces of them, or and most of them I probably got one thing out of it, maybe two. I figure that's a success. With this kind of book, if I get one or two things out of it that are helpful to me, that it's like, okay, that would seem like a waste, but really, I got something out of it. And I don't tend to be someone who goes back and reads a book twice. I don't typically, you can let me know if you do this, but I typically do not go in, and even if it's a reference type book, I don't go back and reference it. I just don't. I don't know why. And so it's more and more clear to me that yes, I am a book person, and yes, I want the book to learn, but at the same time, I'm not going to go back and look at it. I'm not going to go get it out again and figure it out. So I'm kind of shifting with that, and I look at this and I'm thinking, I'm not going to sit and read all this again. That was another reason that I've kept these, because I already realized that I'm not using these books. I realized that early on as I decluttered around my house. I made a point of gathering them together, because I thought at some point I'm going to run out of stuff to declutter, and then or maybe somewhere along the way, I thought even at the beginning, maybe I would just, as I find my books, I could read the books and give tips and review the books and stuff like that. And I did that on one book, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to that book in a minute. But I realized maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I'm not going to do that. But also, by the time I figured that out, I was like, I'm already doing okay with just my decluttering. I don't need to do this. But maybe as I declutter, at some point when I have no more to declutter, maybe I'll do that. So I kept them. I was also curious as to how many I had. Well, you can see, this may not even be all of them, but this is what I found that I think of. And I put them all in here. And I thought, like I said, I thought maybe I would do it when I got to this point. And the other day, I thought, well, maybe I should do that, because I am kind of getting to the point where I need to start, if I'm going to keep doing this, I need to shift to, like I need something, maybe I could do that. And I looked, and I thought, that didn't make me feel good. So I thought, it gave me this tension. I don't want to do that. And so I thought, well, then there's my answer. No. So if we're not going to do that, why do I need to keep them? I can clear out a shelf maybe. So we're going to see. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, I don't need to keep this one. This one's called Organizing from the Inside Out. And I'm not saying any of these books are not good. I'm just saying that I have realized that I have progressed to the point in my decluttering journey that I do not need them anymore. But I want to pass them along, because someone else, they might be helpful to them. So any of these books that you see, maybe they might be of interest to you, and you could see if you could get them maybe, I don't know, if they'd be out of print at this point, but maybe at a half price store or your library or something like that, so that you don't have to invest money in them unless you would want to. So it might be worth checking out. This is another one. This one I got after I started decluttering, like I said, for 11 months before I started my channel. I was decluttering intentionally and continually. So, at some point I finally did figure out how to actually do it. But this is a book that I saw somebody recommend, and I don't think I had started my channel yet when I got this book. But this is Atomic Habits, and a lot of people really gush over this book. They really like this book. This is another one of those books. I got one thing out of it. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but I got one thing out of it. But I got one thing out of it, and I think it was something that I kind of already did. So what I really got was validation that what I was doing already was how the expert said to do it. So, well, that kind of made me feel good. That's not to say I'm an expert or anything like that, but it just happened to be that was the one thing that resonated with me, and I was already doing it. And so, but that doesn't mean it's not a helpful book. We're not all going to get everything we need from every book. Like what I got from this book may be different than what someone else got from the book, and what I would get from the book if I read it again might be different. So, but I don't want to read it again. I'm just at that point where I don't read them again, and I don't want to. So, but Atomic Habits by James Clear, a lot of people really swear by that book. So that's a good one, I guess, that you might want to look into. This one is called the Get Organized Answer book. And it probably, I think I probably bought this one when I was still trying to organize all my stuff. So I've realized that organizing all my stuff is not the way for me to go. Letting go of my stuff is the way for me to go. And then organizing what I have left, and hopefully I won't have to even organize it because I won't have that much left. So, and that little tidbit, there's another book in here that has that tidbit in it, and that's my goal. This one is called The Naturally Clean Home, and so you can see that one. And it is something that you can make your own soaps and cleaning your house in a natural way. And the thing is, I don't think I've had it for years and I don't do it. And like I said, I just really want to get to the most simple thing. So I don't know. This one might be one that I may flip through it and see if there are any specific things that I might want. Like, I'm thinking there might be one or two things, but most likely I'm just gonna go I'm just gonna do what I've been doing for all these years. So probably not gonna bother. And if I had something specific, I could just Google. So I don't need to keep it. It's good. Well, we thought that one through. Thank you for helping me on that. Let's see. Clear your clutter with feng shui. I've read this one, I think, but I don't remember what it had to do with clearing your clutter. I will say, this particular book, I like the color of the pages. I've been watching a few art videos lately, and not that I'm going to get back into a big old thing of crafting, but the colors in these pages would be good for doing certain types of art where you can take a book apart and use it. Now, I know nobody likes to take a book apart and use it, but the thing is, when you are looking at books that are precious, no, you probably shouldn't do that. Maybe if they're falling apart, but these days things are pretty much mass produced, And so I've just kind of gotten to the point where I just like with clutter and keeping things and everything else, I just try to look at it with a bit more of a reasonable point of view. And where I was taught, oh my gosh, you cannot deface a book. I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, what's the reason for saying that? You know, the reason for, I mean, I'm not destroying their work. There are plenty more copies of that book out there. It was mass produced probably. Or the specific people who wanted the book got the book, because now you have a lot of print on demand. That's my book. These are my books. They're print on demand. The reason I have so many is I used to do book shows, and then when the pandemic happened, I haven't done anymore. But I already had books, and you have to have your books when you go to the book shows. So that's why I have so many. And maybe someday I'll do it again, but for now I have the books. But I am kind of considering this one, not to keep it for the purpose of the book, but maybe it might be handy for crafting. So I'm going to put this in a separate pile. I don't know that I will keep it even for that, but I do kind of like the color of the pages for that purpose. So you know, maybe you can do a little, you know, repurposing of things. This one is kind of like a magazine almost. It is called Good Things for Organizing, 150 Solutions for a Clean and Clutter-Free Home. And it is very much laid out like a magazine would be. And the thing is, though, it's kind of like finding ways to organize the things that you have, it looks like. But I kind of already know how I want things. And so I don't really think this one is going to be helpful to me. But it might be helpful to someone else. So I'm going to let it go. And here we have the 1 minute organizer, plain and simple. And, you know, I had that before I had my channel name. Let's see, for home, work, and family. Now this is one that before I would have thought, oh, this is good because it's really simple, kind of, you know, large font, not too much on each page. That makes it easy. But I'm looking at it and going like, I do not want to sit and read about it. No. I just want to do it. I don't want to read about it. I really am just to the point where I can just figure it out. So, you know, I went from not knowing even how to start, much less where to start, to, oh, I can do this. I had to still learn. I still have to get over the humps and all that stuff. It's not that. It's just I realized once I was able to let go of the voices, other people's voices in my head, society's standards in my head, and when I realized what I want, I very quickly realized I can do that. I can do that. I don't live alone though. I have a husband and he is not a declutterer. He likes to have stuff. He needs to have stuff around. And so, but I also figured out, once I knew that, I figured out how to make that work. So, you know, you just have to do what you have to do for your own home, for your own situation, for your life, and you can make it work. You just have to be willing to pivot and to come up with compromises and solutions, and it doesn't have to be hard. I don't have to have everything my way. He doesn't have to have everything his way. And I literally have rooms that have just furniture, nothing hardly else in it, and not much of that. And then other rooms have more stuff. So I didn't worry about, like people might come in and think that, oh, she don't know how to decorate. It's my house. It's not my house. It's our house. And I want our house to be comfortable for both of us. And I don't need to have every room in my house looking like Pinterest. I'd be lucky if I get one room to look like Pinterest. But I guess that's an easy adjustment for me because I never was a Pinterest. I never could decorate like a Pinterest house. My sister can do that. My sister can take a whole bunch of stuff and decorate and make it beautiful. And mine looks like I have a thrift store that's out of control. Same stuff, same house. Well, we don't have that, but I mean, if we had the same stuff and the same house, mine would not look like hers. And once I realized that, and that also is in that book that I'm gonna get to over here, that was another thing that is like, oh, that was very enlightening. I thought, okay, that's good. That was good information to know. So this one, and I'm sorry if I'm just rambling. That's just sometimes how it is. Let's see, fast and easy decorating. That's what this one is. And this one is another book, and maybe would be even a better choice if I decide to keep one for art purposes, because it's smaller pages, and I like the yellowing on the page. Some of them have a little bit of artwork on them. And so this might work out really well. So I'm going to put this in the pile with the possible ones to keep for doing art. I'm not going to keep them forever, but I do have a couple of things that I've kind of been kicking around that I might want to do. And I thought, wow, I have to go buy a book at the thrift store or something. Why? I have some right here. I can use these. So I don't have to go buy one at the thrift store. I'll just use what I have. Better. And here's another little one. This one is Household Hints. It's Delphine's. I had a cousin named Delphine, but this is Delphine's Household Hints, and it also has the kind of yellowy sort of pages. And again, these are books that I've had for many, many years. I thought I would use them. And I think that one of the reasons I would buy these is because I didn't know how to do the stuff, but I wanted to know how to do this stuff. But the books, just reading them wasn't getting me there. There was some other hump that I needed to jump. And you know what it was? Decluttering. And once I jumped that decluttering hump, I realized I don't need these. I don't need these. It's all going more to the basically simple. And if you watch my channel, you know I don't call myself a minimalist. I'm not a minimalist, but I call myself a manageable-list. I don't know if anybody else does, but I call myself a manageable-list because all my goal is to just make it manageable for me. So making it manageable for you, making it manageable for your friend, your neighbor, your mom, your sister, we're all different. Our homes are different. Our families are different. So the goal is just to make it manageable. You know, I can have one area that is minimal and another one that is maximal, I guess. You know, I could have, like if I wanted to, I could have kept all my books, you know. I could have said, oh, I want to keep all of my craft items. Or I could have said, I want 1,000 pillows, but everything else has to be minimal. Maybe it's clothes. A lot of us have something where we don't want to go minimal on it. But there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that we have to put labels on ourselves. The only reason I started calling myself a manageable-list is because I didn't seem to fit into any of the other things. And when I thought, I just want it to be manageable for me. And that's when I came up with manageable-list. I just want to be a manageable-list. And it's not a real thing. It's just what's in my head. But it helped me. Sorry, my bangs are crooked. I don't know if they really are, but they're laying weird, really weird. I just noticed. Sorry, got distracted, like ooh shiny. But I just wanted things to be manageable for me, and that's when I came up with that. But the reason was just because it helped me to identify and re-cement my goal for what I wanted to do. What am I striving for with what I'm doing? And that's really all it is, and it doesn't matter how it comes out. It doesn't matter if this thing over here turns out to be really minimal and that part over there, I still have a ton of stuff. And maybe later that part will become minimal, eventually, but right now it's not. And I'm okay with that. I don't have to fit into anybody's, set. I feel like I got really short. I got tired of sitting on my legs. Here, I'll get back up for you. Sorry. I just realized I'm really far down for you. Sorry. Anyway, here is another one. This is Guide to Stain Removal. There you go. And you can kind of see that I had this deep desire to learn this stuff. And also I think I was not really trying to keep up with the Joneses kind of thing, but the expectation of what we expect from people to do when they have a home. And especially back then, what you expected the wife to do. Now, Randy never put these expectations on me, so, there wasn't ever that. But when I would look around and my friends had a nice, tidy home, or, like you would see things on TV and stuff, and then you would look at yourself and you go like, why can't I have that? I want that too. Why can't I have that? And so I guess we didn't have internet then. It came around. It was coming around and everything. But we didn't have all these things at our fingertips like you do now. And so I would get books. And the problem was, there was something in between me having the book and reading the book and learning and doing all that stuff and actually being able to implement it. And again, I come back to, there was that, but I come back to, I didn't know how to let go of things. I still hadn't learned how to do that. Like I said, my mom was born in the Depression, and I really do think that had a lot to do with it, with how I understood the world. And that's not throwing any, shame or blame on my mom. I'm just saying that I realized that was part of what was happening with me, and I had to realize that and then be brave enough to conquer that before I could change that. So it was all for me to do. I just had to get to the place where I could do it. Here is another book. Now this one I got, I think this book came out shortly before I started my channel, but I didn't receive it until after I had started my channel. And some of you may have this book or be familiar with this book. This is Dawn, the Minimal Mom, Declutter Your Home in 15 Minutes a Day. So, from Dawn, the Minimal Mom, the most valuable thing that I learned, and I learned this from her channel, and I learned this before I started my channel. When I first started decluttering, I did not even know that there were all of these YouTube channels on decluttering. I was totally clueless. I had no idea. So when I started, I just started on my own. And then quickly discovered these channels and like, wow, there's a whole universe out there. But Dawn, the thing that she said one day was that you don't have to keep the whole set. You can break the set up. And I'm like, what? So like dishes, you don't have to keep them all. If you only need 4, you don't have to keep that set of 8 or that set of 12. You can just keep the 4. I'm like, really? Because I grew up in a time when people wanted sets, and so you had to have the set. But times have changed. And so she said, yeah, because whenever people go out and they go to thrift stores and they'll buy just what they want, and everything doesn't have to match. Some people want them to not match. And so, but some people do, some people don't. But it's okay to break the set up, because somebody's out there and all they want is 1 or 2 or 4. And that way they don't have to go and purchase the whole set. And so I learned that from her. Very valuable. Allowed me to let go. I stuck the extras up in my top shelf for a little while, my cabinet, and realized I wasn't needing them. And it did make things a whole lot easier with keeping things taken care of. And again, I will talk more about that when I get to another book. But this is Dawn, the Minimal Mom, I used this book. I did do a review. I used one of her things in here, and I did a review, and I did it on my channel, and I learned a lot about myself. I do not do well with a timer. I don't do timers. I had learned that about myself and forgot. But I hadn't let go of, I wasn't decluttering, so I had not let go of the timer. So when I started to do the thing, I thought, well, I'm going to do exactly like her book says. I was still new at the channel thing. And I thought, I got to do exactly how she says. So I'm going to use a timer. And I went and I'm like, yay, we still have the timer. And I turned the timer on and I'm doing my video. And in the process of doing my video, everything in me is going crazy. Everything. And so crazy, and me being new, I couldn't even think to say, okay, this is not working. I'm like, I gotta stick with this. I gotta do it. But everything in my brain was just scattered and crazy. And my blood pressure was probably going through the roof. Everything was going crazy just because of the tick, 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 tick. That drives me nuts. And so I had to finish it out. I finished out the video. I did not have it within me to even explain or anything. But the whole time I just felt like I was crazy. I did it, but I felt like I was crazy. And I'm like, I decluttered that timer after that, because I'm like, I'm never going to make that mistake again. I am never going to forget again. I am going to remember, and I'm also getting rid of that timer. I can do a thing like on the stove just to let me know when the time is. Speaking of which, I need to go because I think my timer's going off on my stove. I'll be back. This is getting to be a really long video anyway. But I can do that, but it has to be quiet, but also not rushed. I don't do the rush thing. So I know a lot of people do the rush thing. Like, let's see how much we can get done in this amount of time. I don't do that. I had my thing called 10 minutes better, but I did not rush. I do not rush. It was just to show that you can get a lot more done in 10 minutes than you think you can. But this also gave me a little boost with my channel, because a couple months after I did that, for some reason, all of a sudden people started watching my channel, and I got like, I think I had maybe 150 subscribers when I did that, maybe, and I got up to 450. Not all at one time, you know, but over a period of time. It wasn't a quick thing. It wasn't quick like that at all, but it was way quicker than any other time. And so I got like consistently kept getting views. I got like 10 or 11,000 views eventually on that particular video, and I credit a lot of the people, my subscribers, to that video. I could be wrong, but I credit it to that. And so then it just kind of, you know, like I knew it was just going to be temporary, though. I knew it wasn't going to be like this is going to shoot me through the thing. That never mattered to me. But I was grateful for that little boost that I got. And then it got to like 450, and then it just went slow ever since. So now I'm at 1,076. And thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate it. Sorry, this video is going really long, but oh well, whatever. Anyway, you're probably not even on here anymore. You're probably not even listening. You can split them up, you know. So anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and let it go though, because that's the only time I use this book. But I think it would probably be helpful for a lot of people, especially if they're starting out. So thank you, Dawn. All that to say thank you, Dawn. Let's just grab this whole thing out, because this is getting really long. It's already long. It ain't getting there. It already is. So I also have this book, and it's called Gifts Freely Given, Devotions for Your Quiet Time. This is not a decluttering book, but it's in this stack, so it's going. I don't need to keep it. It does have the yellowy pages, though, so it might be one that could be used for the crafty thing. So I'll put that in that pile. And let's see. And I know I'm not going to use all of those. It's just, you know, something I might use. This one is called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Let's see. There's something. Oh, there's a bookmark or a receipt in here from 1999. Oh, well, look at that. July 18th, 1999. So we're coming up on, an anniversary date. Anyway, I can let go of the receipt too. But, yeah, I don't even know if I ever read it, but so it's gone. And this one is called One Thing at a Time. See if we can kick through some of these pretty quickly here. This one is also, let's see, 100 Simple Ways to Live Clutter-Free Every Day. And again, I feel like I don't need it. I don't need a book to tell me how to do that anymore. And letting go of these books is not going to throw me into, go back or whatever. I'm still going to be able to do what I do. This one, I don't know. I tend to, a lot of times, this is from the library. This is a slip from the library. I was probably using it as a bookmark. So I have bookmarks here, but I was using this for a bookmark. I got this book because, I don't know, I saw it mentioned somewhere, and I got it, and I think I read a couple of chapters, and that was it. So, Clutter's Last Stand. Read it. This one is The Gentle Art of Swedish Desk Cleaning. This is also one that I had gotten after I started decluttering. I don't know if I don't know if it was before I started my channel or not. This one I used a calendar page for my bookmark. So, I don't know what year it was. Oh, July 30th though. Thursday, July 30th. Is a Mary Engelbreit calendar. And so, yeah, I read it. I don't remember what the thing would have been that I got out of this one. But I'm letting it go. This one is called Keeping It Simple. Oh, this one has an index card for the bookmark. And it is on the first chapter. So I don't know if that means I didn't get past that or what. But, keeping it simple, sorting out what really matters in your life. Okay. And this one, I used an envelope from a card that Randy gave me, a Christmas card. That's my bookmark in here. This one is called Unstuff Your Life. Kick the clutter habit and completely organize your life for good. Again, my goal is to get to the point where I don't have to worry about organizing, because I just won't have that much stuff. I don't need to organize it if I don't have that much stuff, right? I don't know that it'll be totally that way, but, that's kind of a goal. This one is called Create Your Joy, a guide for transforming your life. Now, I gotta say, there are some pretty, I like the pages in this one. There's some ones in here that have some art, but also at the bottoms. So that one might really be a nice one for my little art project. So I'm going to have a few to choose from for my little art project. Got a little stack there. This one's called Get Out of Your Head. Stopping the spiral of toxic thoughts. Are you having toxic thoughts? Well, this one says, what we believe. At least I'm not as dumb as her. I don't know what that's about. That's the first part of that chapter. I'm not sure why I got this book, but I think I'm going to go ahead and let it go. Not sure why it was in here. Maybe it's just decluttering your thoughts, I guess. Okay, so this one is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up and Spark Joy. You're probably familiar with those two, right? This one has a bookmark too. It is a receipt, and this one was from January of 2016. So that's when I bought that one. I don't know when I bought the other one, but I have both of them. I did read the Marie Kondo things. What I got from Marie Kondo was that folding thing, and I did do that folding thing for a bit. But then I went back to my own way of folding because I needed something that would be easy enough for Randy to do it as well, in case I needed him to. Because if I had a problem with my back or my neck or something like that, he kind of picks up the slack for me when I do that. When that stuff happens, and I wanted it to be so that if I'm folding towels or anything else, I want it to be something that he can do as well, and with no struggle, and it'll fit into the space. And so I just try to keep it as simple as possible. And I don't think he can do the Marie Kondo fold. Another thing I know about the Marie Kondo thing, because I tried it, is it ain't for me. When you have to pull everything of a particular type out, then you're going to have to get it all sorted through and put back too. And I did that with my kitchen when I very first started. Not when I started intentionally and continually decluttering, but before that. I went through my whole kitchen thing. So I hadn't really figured out how to declutter yet, but I wanted to go through things, let things go. I did let some things go, but I wanted to go through things and then organize it how I wanted it. It took me 2 months to put it back together. So my kitchen was a disaster for 2 months because it ended up causing the neck issues to really trigger. And so I would work for a day and be down in the bed for 2 days, and work for a day and be down in the bed for 2 days. And it took me 2 months to put my kitchen back together. So I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Tiny tidies are the way to go. Tiny tidies are the way to go. And, in case you don't know, tiny tidies are still going to go on, but there will not be the playlist. There will be the playlist on Tuesday, and Sunday Dawn's already done a video and it's already out, so that's why I'm okay with saying this. But there's going to be, it's going to, the girls are going to still be able to do tiny tidies, but there maybe won't be a playlist, is what I'm saying. So anyway, because tiny tidies is really about just don't do it all at once. You don't have to do it all at once. That's really what it's all about. So this book is Sink Reflections. And this one is The Fly Lady. I've had this one for a while. But if you guys are, like that first book I showed you, the one with the sidetracked sisters, that's how she started. She did their things, and then I guess when they retired, I don't know how it worked out, but she ended up bought the franchise or whatever. I don't know that part, like specific words or whatever. But it started out with the sidetrack sisters, and then she modernized it and took it to the next level and all that stuff, and then did it on the internet. And so a lot of people are familiar with the Fly Lady, and the shine your sink first, that thing, shine your sink first. And so I've been before there was even the internet, the sidetrack sisters, and then she started doing things on the internet too. But then she also has the book, so. A lot of you are familiar with that. A lot of you do the zones and stuff like that. I did the shine your sink first thing, but I don't even have a sink to shine now. I have a sink, but it's Corianne, so you can't do that. And I don't really need it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and let it go too. And let's see, what else do we got over here? I'm going to grab a few out. Let's see what we got. There's not many more, but we are coming up on an hour here. I apologize. I hope that you guys divided this up a little bit. This one is How to Clean Practically Anything. It's another one that has kind of yellowy pages. I don't need a ton with yellowy pages, but I will put this one, I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to put it to the side, and then when I do my project, I can decide which ones I want. I don't know right now which ones I will want to use, so I'll put them aside, and then whichever ones work, I'll use them, and then after that, I can declutter. So I'm just going to have a little stack, but they will have purpose, and I will not be keeping them for a tremendously long amount of time. I just want to kind of make that decision right now, but I don't think I'm going to use it. Like I said, now I can just, if I have a specific issue, I know I can just Google it. And if it ever gets to the point where we don't have Google or whatever, you know, kind of service or something that we can do this with, then I just make do. I'm not going to worry about it. You know? I'm not going to fret. I'm just to that point where I ain't going to fret. Let's see. Move your stuff, change your life. How to use feng shui to get love, money, respect, and happiness. Okay, so this one's all about positioning of your things and how that's feng shui is supposed to make it so that you have a, I don't know, better, where your stuff goes makes a difference on how your energy in your home is, or something like that. I'm not going to use it. You know, that's just how it is. Okay, and then I have, let's see, these three right here I'm going to keep for last. Let's see here. Okay, I pulled all these out, but this is my book. That was my first book. This is A Bit of Tickle for the Mind. It's poetry. And this one is, these are actually my, what do you call it, draft books, because this one says not for resale. And this one's in the spirit of Halloween. And this one is called, well, this is the draft, but Tickling God's Toes. Those are my three books that I wrote. And I don't know if I'll do any more. If I do, I do, and if I don't, I don't. Oh, and this book, this one I'm keeping as well. This one's called Omega Force. And this one, let's see. This is a friend of mine. Well, he's my friend too, but I worked with this lady, and this is her husband. And he's a writer, and I wrote a poem for him, and he put it in his book. So there's a poem that I wrote for him. It's in the end of the book. And what I did was I took his very first one in the series. I think this one might be number 8 in the series. I'm not sure. But I took the book, the first one in his series, and I used lines, for just not the whole line, but just little phrases from the book. And from that created a poem. I was just practicing playing. That's just a way to write a poem, and I just wanted to practice and did it. And so I wrote him a poem, and he put it in here, which was really cool. Oh, and we went to a museum, and that's what I'm using for the bookmark. This one is something we got from the museum in here, and also a piece of scrap paper. I don't know why I had 2 bookmarks in here. Oh well, I'm keeping that book. But I also have, this one is called Organizing Plain and Simple, Donna Smallin. There you go, you can see that one. And my bookmark in this one is the top of a Kleenex box. And let's see, this one, I'll show you kind of how this one is laid out. So, you know, the chapters are kind of like that. It's got some little color, little illustrations, little bits of stuff like that. I don't remember what specific thing I got out of this book. I'm sure probably something, but I'm ready to let go. And then I have, let's see, these 3. These 3 are Dana K. White. And this one I didn't really use a whole lot. This was her last one that well, she may have more now, but Organizing for the Rest of Us. And this one has little chapters, little short things. So if you like that kind of stuff, and you know, you don't have to even have a bookmark, it has a ribbon. So if you like that kind of thing, that might be helpful to you. And then these are the other 2, and I can't remember which one I read first, but the first one I read was the one that made sense to me. I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember which one it was. I'd probably have to read it again to figure it out, and I'm not going to. Both of them are good. But the one that spoke to me, the reason it spoke to me was because it validated me. It told me who I was, and that who I was okay. And that was so important because I spent many years questioning and wondering what's wrong with me. Why am I not good enough? Why can't I do this? And why am I different? And she was talking about herself and different things. So it wasn't like she grabbed me by the collar and said, "Hey," but it was just in telling her story. Not all of it, but part of it spoke to me. And I realized that it's okay that I'm not the same as other people. And there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just different. And so I have to stop trying to be what I'm expected to be and work within my own parameters. And so one of the things she talks about in her books is, and these are some of her methods, is the clutter threshold. And the clutter threshold isn't your how much you can have or how much space. It isn't that. Your clutter threshold is what you can manage, and which goes back to my thing with what I call my managable-ism. But it's your clutter threshold is what you can manage. And where my sister can take tons of things and it's beautiful and she can do it. If I have all that stuff, I can't manage it. I can't make it beautiful, but also I can't make it aesthetically pleasing. I can't decorate with it. I can't keep it clean. I can't do any of that. And it's overwhelming to me. I can't do it. And so, but that doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. That just means we're different, and that's okay. And so another thing that I know is if I don't dust, I won't dust. If there's something sitting on a table, I won't move it to dust. If there's nothing on that table, I'll dust it. If there's nothing on this shelf, I will dust that shelf. But if I have to move things in order to dust, I won't do it. And it'll just sit there dusty. Why? I have no idea. That's just how I am. And so learning that stuff about myself was very freeing and very important to my journey as a declutterer, but also as a person and as a housewife. It was just, it meant so much to me. It was like a big, huge hurdle. I had jumped many hurdles, but that was another one I needed to jump, and I needed that book, whichever one. It may have been this one. I don't remember which one, but I needed that to jump the hurdle. I'm wanting to say it's this one, but I could be totally wrong. I have to really look. If I can figure it out and I remember to, maybe I'll just pop it in here, but I don't know. I may not. Because it doesn't matter. I think whichever books you get, you're going to get something out of them. But just realizing that I'm different than my sister. And so another thing that I did as a result of that is I realized I won't move things to get to something else, or I'll avoid it. So that thing where a lot of us have learned, if we want it to be as easy to put away as it is to get out. And I think Cast the Clutter Bug, she also says that, I think. As far as Cast the Clutter Bug is another one I learned a lot from. Randy and I are opposites in our organization and what we need. I am a cricket and he is a butterfly. And if you follow Cast the Clutter Bug, you know that we are totally opposites. I need everything. I want everything in little pockets and I want it all hidden away. And he needs to have it out and about. And so I kind of just have to compromise and figure it out. But there are things where I need to have it out or I'll forget about it. And so, so I understand how that kind of works. And so I just kind of compromise that way. Some of the things I don't do that Dana K. Wyatt does is I do not limit myself to, I have to fit it all in this bin. I have the space. If I want to have more than one bin, I will. I do not have to, I'm not a child. And I am not putting those restrictions on myself or my husband. if I ever get to the point where I want to have it all fit into one place, then I'll choose to do that. It's not that I don't understand how it works or what its purpose is. I just know I'm not there yet with some stuff. So if I have, a bunch of Christmas decorations and I have, 4 bins, but I have this other thing that doesn't fit in those 4 bins, I'm not going to say, well, I have to get rid of something. So, no, I'm just going to use a 5th bin. So, I mean, that's just how it is for me. But if I said, nope, I only have space for 4 bins, I do not have space for 4 bins plus something, then I have to make that choice. But I'm not there. I don't have to make that choice, and I'm not going to force myself to make that choice. And that's part of how I choose to do the decluttering, and that will be part of what I talk about if I do that thing that I talked about like an hour ago in this video. It will be something that I will declutter, or that I will discuss in that. I was trying to think, there was something else that that she talked about in here, but I can't remember what it was right off the top of my head. But mostly what I got from her, Cass taught me that about our different styles. Dawn taught me that I can split the sets up, and this Dana K. White taught me that it's okay to be me. That who I am is not. There's nothing wrong with me. I am normal too. I'm just a different normal than my tidy friends. But now that I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff, now that I've let go of a lot of stuff, now that I've given up a lot of stuff, now that I've set a lot of stuff free, I've also set myself free. So I want you to be set free too, and I want to set a lot more people free from their clutter. So this video is going to end now, but we will continue on with the decluttering. Let me know down in the comments if you stuck around to the end. Shoot me out an emoji. What kind of emoji could we have? What would be a good emoji? Maybe a bird, because we're going to set ourselves free. Flap our wings and set ourselves free. And maybe we'll, if I find that shoebox, maybe we'll go through this too. This is my thing from the Fly Lady. Yeah, I still have that too. My journal, my blessings journal. I wrote a poem on this, and it says, our home is blessed by God above, and through His grace, it's filled with love. And that was back in 2008. But maybe it's time to let that stuff go too. We'll see, but that will be for another video, because this one is already over an hour long. So I have a short stack of books for my crafting, and a taller stack of books to declutter, and an empty shelf. Well, almost empty. Till next time, happy decluttering. Bye.